Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. So today's video I'm going to be doing the book tag that has been recently going around that Stephball kindly created, and many other booktubers have now, hopped on the trend, because tags haven't been done for many years now. And when tags were around, especially on booktube, I wasn't on booktube, and obviously now I am, and so this is like the time that I want to do it. I did do one at the end of the year. It was the end of the year book tag, but this is the newest one. So let's just get right into it. Okay, so the first question is, a book you tell people is your favourite. So I have two for this question. And now, I think what this is supposed to be is like, what's not actually your favourite book, what you tell people, which I was trying to look for, and I was like, I don't know, But then sometimes I do tell people like what my actual favourite book is. Well, books, because I'm not ashamed. So, firstly is Unconditional by QB Tyler. So this book, as you probably know if you've been here for a while, I talk about so much on my channel, especially when it's like favourite videos or whatever. Talk about so much. I recently reread this, and then the second one is Him by Ed Ash. I also recently reread this one, and I also talk about this one a lot in my favourites, because these two will forever probably been my favourite. Okay, the second question is, a book that is your guilty pleasure. Now, what I didn't mention at the start is some of these questions are repeats, because I couldn't think of any other books or whatever. So, guilty pleasures are also these two books as well. Like I said, I've reread them so many times, and I can't get over them. Especially like, if I'm in a bad mood or having a bad day or whatever, I pick up one of these books and it just makes that day so much better. Okay, a book everyone loved but you didn't. So with this one, it's not so much that I didn't like it, it's just everyone that says that they love this book, it's like, so good, blah blah blah, and I didn't see that, and that is Things We Never Got Over. So I did really enjoy this, but only with the second half. I felt like it was a bit too slow for me. The first like 150 pages just wasn't it for me, to the point where I thought I was thinking about DNFing it. I'm glad that I didn't, because the last half of the book made up for it when things actually started to happen. But otherwise, yeah, that's the only thing about it. It wasn't that so much I didn't like it, like I hated it or whatever. It was more for the fact of, I don't get why it's so hyped. I don't get why it's as hyped as it is. That's it. Did I buy the sequel? Did I buy the second book to the series? Yes, I did, because I've heard some good, like, better things about it, even though it's 100 pages more than this one, and I struggle with the size of this one, so good luck to me. Okay, next question is, a book you read the fastest. So I read books quite fast anyway. I can finish books within 2 hours, I can finish books within like 5 hours, whatever. It depends on obviously like the genre and how many pages and the font. Always depends on that. Also depends if I'm reading a physical copy or on my Kindle. It all depends on everything. And there's books that I finished at the same time. But I was looking at my shelves, and this was the first one I saw, and I was like, okay, I'll just say this one. But there has been many, to the point where I couldn't, choose. I was going to say my first ever fast read, but I didn't read that the fastest. So that is A Life for a Lie. I finished this within like 2 hours. It was so fast. And I mean, it is a short book, and it's very fast paced and very enjoyable to read, and so it's not surprising. But when I was looking at my shelves, I was like, I think on my shelf this is the fastest I've read physically, and so I thought that's, less cheating, because if I did a Kindle, like, that's pretty obvious that I'll read it quite fast. So yeah, anyway, I'm just driving it on. Yeah, this actually was really enjoyable. I rated it 4 stars or 4.5 stars. It was quite a high rating as well, especially for the length of the book, and so much happened within a short amount of time, which is something that I really loved about this book as well, is you get so much information and so much, like, not so much drama, but drama within like a short amount of time. So yeah, anyway, that's a book. Okay, next question is, a book that deserves more hype. So with this one, I didn't know what to do. I sat here like looking at my shelves for quite a while, and then I was like, well, a new book came out recently, and this author, with the series they made, it got a lot of hype. Like, you hear it everywhere, even to this day. And this book didn't get so much hype when it first came out. I didn't see personally anywhere, but now it's starting to get a bit more hype. but I feel like it deserves the hype even faster. As soon as it came out, I read it. And that is Five Survive by Holly Jackson. So if you haven't heard about the Good Girls Guide to Murder series yet, where have you been? But that is everywhere and it's so popular, and like I get why. I've read it myself and it's so good. And when this first came out, I didn't hear anyone talking about it, but recently, within the past like couple of weeks, I've heard more people talking about it now, like more booktubers especially. But this deserves more hype than what it's getting at the moment. Like, everyone needs to be talking about this. I don't think I've actually seen this on Book Talk at all. I've only ever seen it on BookTube, which is quite shocking considering A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, I'm pretty sure, was more popular on Book Talk. I could be wrong, sorry if I am, but yeah, anyway. So that is that. Like, this is just so good, so thrilling. And I did hear a bad review, like a booktuber talk about it badly, and I was like, really? Like, I don't get it. But yeah, it's just so good. And if you want something that's fast paced, keeps your attention, if you're in a reading slump, pick this book up. It's so good. Okay, next question is a book that is becoming a movie or TV show. So there are quite a few for this one, obviously, but the first, I picked up the one that hasn't come out yet, because the one that I was going to do has already come out, like, recently. You probably know. But yeah, this one hasn't come out yet, and I am excited for it but nervous for it because I feel like it might ruin the book. Plus, I've had so many like 50-50 thoughts about it, and that is It Ends With Us. This is becoming a movie, I believe, and people aren't happy about the cast, and like, I get that. I feel like the cast, you know, especially for Lily Bloom, like, Blake Lively is a great actor, but I just don't know how it's going to work, you know. But you know what, we're gonna see how it turns out. But yeah, I am excited for it, but then I'm nervous for it because is it just gonna ruin the whole book? Like, I don't know. For me, most of the time, movie adaptations can ruin things, in my opinion. Like, I watch them. Maybe I should stop if I think that. But I do watch the movie adaptations because I'm intrigued. But most of the time I'm like, why did this have to happen? But yeah, so the other one that I was talking about is Daisy Jones and the Six. I was going to do that one, but it's already come out and I haven't watched it yet, so, you know. And yes, I am very late, but I am going to watch it. I've started like watching the first episode twice, and I've got like 30 seconds in. I'm like, oh, actually, I'm going to do something else. So yeah, anyway, moving on to the next question. Next question is a book you have reread the most. Oh, okay, so that's easy. These two books I have reread the most. I've read these two books 3 times. The third time for both of them being recently. Oh, and also the Heartstopper series. That became third recently as well. So those are the books that I've reread the most. Next question. A book from a genre you don't typically read. Now, this was a hard one because I normally stick to the same genres, romance always, and like thrillers. I have always read, but I don't read as often, and I do really love thrillers. Like, when I read them, love them. And I recently read a thriller, which I'll talk about in my wrap-up. But I recently read a thriller, and I'm like, why don't I read thrillers more? And I do that every single time I finish a thriller or read a thriller. I'm like, why don't I pick them up more? There's no reason for it. I love thrillers, but I just never pick them up as often as I would like. So, but I do read them. So then I was like, fantasy, and I recently started my first fantasy book, and that is A Court of Thorns and Roses, and there will be a reading vlog coming at some point for it as well, so look out for that. But yeah, that is the only thing I could think of, because fantasy, I never read. It has never been a genre for me. When I was younger, I tried reading it, and I think that's why I hated reading, to be fair, because I don't think it's my kind of thing, or I was just picking up the wrong thing. Next question is a book that deserves all the hype it gets. Now, with this one, there's so many that I could think of, but the one that was like the first in my head that popped up straight away was Daisy Jones and the Six. I know, funny how I was just talking about it and then, you know. But this deserves all the hype it gets, especially the audiobook. Like, I've never heard an audiobook the way this was, and this is definitely a different style of writing, which is something that I love. I didn't think I would like it because it's written in an interview style. If you don't know, if you haven't read it, being an interview style. I didn't think I would like it because of that, but I really enjoyed this. Like, 5-star read, loved it, read it in one sitting, which is crazy to me, but I read it so fast and I just love it. Very excited to actually start the TV show for it. Okay, next question is a book you usually recommend when asked to give a recommendation. So when people come to me for recommendations, I will normally ask them like what they like first. Like, what's their genre, what do they normally read, give me some examples. And I will generally like go on my Goodreads and I will look for things that I've read and recommend them books from what I've read in the past. I generally take my time out to give book recommendations to people when they message me because I feel like it's important, you know. So that's what I normally do. But if it's someone that doesn't normally read, I will always recommend Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I would always recommend The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So this book can be 50-50. I've heard some negative things and some positive things about this, to be fair. But this I read so fast, it will get you out of a reading slump if you're in one, but it'll also get you into reading if you haven't like read in a while or you just never read, because it keeps you intrigued, it keeps you like wanting more, and it keeps you wanting to find out like what happened in Evelyn Hugo's life and what happens near the end, and it's just everything really. It's so good, and that's all I've got to say about it because I don't want to go into it like too much because it's been talked about a lot, but this is the book that I would recommend normally. Next question is a book that has your favourite characters. Now I had to think about this, and it's hard because I like characters quite easily, to be fair. And if I don't like a character, it's because I'm not enjoying the book, or vice versa. Like, if I'm not enjoying the book, I'm not enjoying the characters. So I'm just going to repeat and say these two. I know you've had enough of it, but these two characters I really enjoyed. Like, yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I enjoyed these characters. Now that I'm looking, maybe Icebreaker as well. I really enjoyed the characters in that. Oh, of course. And then Torn by Karen Cole. I do. Oh, and Heartstopper. Okay, there we go. Those are some more, so that's not just repeat. Next question is a book you thought you would hate but ended up loving. So with this one, I started this book when I was in a reading slump, and I was going through a reading slump, and because I had a feeling that I would actually like this book, I temporarily DNF'd it. I know, crazy. And then one night, a couple of weeks ago now, I decided to just pick it up. I started listening to the audiobook actually when I was filling my book journal, and I just continued and it started getting better and better, and I was like, oh my god, I love this, and I ended up finishing it that night. I know, it's crazy, but that is Ghosted. So at the beginning it was rather slow, and I think that's why I couldn't really get into it while I was in a reading slump. I think that's why I was finding it a bit hard, but after like the 60-page mark, it got so good, and just everything, like second chance in this, amazing. I just love this so much, and the fact that I'm very bad on names. Jonathan didn't let his fame get in the way of what he was trying to accomplish, and that was like get back in Kennedy's and his daughter's lives. Great, because he made that mistake in the past and he's trying to make up for it now, and so yeah, loved it. Okay, next question is a book that made me cry, and that is very recently, and that is If He Had Been With Me. I sobbed at the end of that book. Like, I wasn't expecting it, honestly. Like, I've had people say that they've cried at books and whatever, and like, I don't cry at books, and if I do, there's a reason. Very rare that I cry at books, but if I do, it's telling me something. But yeah, I did cry at this book, and we're gonna leave it at that. And then the last question is a book you wish you could read for the first time again. Can you guess it? Yep, these two books. I wish I could read them for the first time again. I don't think I'll ever get the same experience that I did when I first read it. And see, that's the thing that I've been having trouble with lately is when I first got into reading, I was like reading books so fast. I was like eating them up. Like there was just this feeling I had within me, and I'm not getting that feeling anymore, and I don't know what it is. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm trying to find that again within other books. Maybe I need to go on a search for books like these, because I reread these recently, and yes, I got that spark, but not the same spark as I got the first time I read them. So I think I need to do a bit of researching of my own and trying to find some more books like these. But yeah, so those are all the questions for the book recommendation tag. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. If you do, please like and subscribe if you want. It's free, and hope to see you in my next video. Bye.